Welcome to day 8 with me and Daisy. Day 8. Narrative engineering. The story they will believe. Let's start with a sentence that will make half the viewers nod and the other half panic. The court does not adopt the version of events that is the truest. It adopts the version that is the easiest to process, defend, and justify. Let that sink in. You're not competing on truth. You're competing on narrative clarity, narrative stability, and narrative defensibility. Most parents lose not because they lie, not because they fail morally, not because they lack evidence. They lose because their story is either too complex, too emotional, or too reactive, too hard to summarize, or too difficult to defend in a report, too uncomfortable for the institution to adopt. Family court does not deal in nuance. Nuance is expensive. Nuance is risky. Nuance is difficult to translate into recommendations. So the system prefers a story that is simple, clean, predictable, categorizable, professionally defensible. The truth, if it's messy, gets slaughtered in the crossfire. Your story must fit one sentence. If your case cannot be summarized in one sentence, the system will summarize it for you, and you probably won't like their version. You need a narrative spine. I am the stable, predictable parent focused on the child's long-term welfare, showing insight and flexibility, while the other parent's behavior has created a need for structured clarity. That is the backbone. Everything else is the muscles you layer onto it. If your narrative is she lied, he's manipulated, they twisted everything, or I've been treated unfairly, you lose. You lose not morally, mechanically, because your narrative is reactive, not structural. The system chooses the story with the lowest institutional risk. This is what nobody wants to hear. The system does not pick the best parent. It picks the parent who creates the least exposure for professionals. That means your narrative must answer 3 silent questions. Are you predictable? Can they forecast your behavior? Are you stable across time, not just in moments of stress? Are you narratively low maintenance? Can your story be summarized cleanly? If the answer is yes, the system can safely align with you. If the answer is no, the system will lean towards the parent who is more structurally simpler, not morally better. That's the brutal reality. Narrative clarity beats evidence. This is the part most parents refuse to. Evidence does not win cases. Narrative gives evidence meaning. A screenshot is useless without a narrative frame. A message thread is meaningless without context. Even police logs and GP records can be neutralized without a clear narrative backbone. But a strong narrative makes weak evidence look powerful, and a weak narrative makes strong evidence look irrelevant. The 4 elements of winning that narrative. Now, pay attention. Firstly, predictability. Your behavior must look stable across time. Predictable equals safe. Safe equals adoptable. 2, insight, not guilt, insight. The ability to say, I understand the concerns raised, or I can see how this might appear, or here's how I'm addressing it. Insight lowers professional anxiety. Child focus, not performative child focus. Real, structural child focus. Selfless child focus. Being selfless, child first. Everything must link back to routines, stability, emotional safety, long-term development. Number 4, low aggression narrative. Your story cannot center around, in the slightest, anger, injustice, betrayal, revenge, proving wrong. These emotions, those emotional tones, increase risk signals. Your narrative must stay calm, rational, evidence-anchored, and forward-moving. It must be boring. How the system interprets narratives. Here's the uncomfortable truth. People won't like this. The system reads tone before it reads content. If your narrative feels chaotic, righteous, overwhelming, fixated, self-referential, it doesn't matter how true it is. If it feels unstable, and unstable parents never get institutional backing. But if your narrative feels measured, reflective, consistent, low conflict, child-focused, the system relaxes. And once they relax, they can support you without fear. The other parent's narrative is irrelevant until yours exists. This is the part that shocks people. The other parent's narrative only has power in the absence of yours. Once you engineer a clear narrative frame, theirs becomes noise. Their chaos highlights your stability. Their escalation highlights your calm. Their attacks highlight your consistency. You don't need to defeat their story. You just need to build a better one. I hope this has landed with people. Today's practice task is narrative spine construction. So write three things, only three things. Your narrative spine, one sentence, describe your entire case in one clean sentence, not emotional, not historical, not reactive, just not boring. Yeah. Number two, three supporting themes. Write three short bullet points under your spine: predictability, insight, and child focus. Number three, evidence alignment, which now lists which evidence supports each theme: school records, GP records, communication logs, attendance, routine stability, involvement, consistency. And this creates narrative architecture the system can adopt safely. Now, the point of no return. If day 8 landed properly, you should feel two things: relief, because now you understand why your truth never landed before, and fear, because now you realize the system doesn't reward truth, it rewards structure. Now, tomorrow, we go into documentation, how to produce a written material that is impossible to misinterpret, and structurally safer to adopt than the other parent's narrative or the other parent's story.